The stone hit the actor's leg, especially the knee. If it is not dealt with as soon as possible, it is likely to leave sequelae. Don't talk about filming anymore, there may be problems with normal walking. A more serious trauma operation like this is usually done by pulling it back to the hospital. But now the conditions are obviously not allowed, it must be dealt with early. Wu Yuan got the surgical kit and started to make preparations. After a while, the blood was collected, and Wu Yuan hurriedly asked the nurse to transfuse the actor with blood. Zhang Baoqiang couldn't help but leaned over. Is he all right? Can he be rescued? Wu Yuan raised his head and glanced at Zhang Baoqiang. No one can tell him until he wakes up. You should stay away first and give me space to save people. Zhang Baoqiang made an "oh" and quickly ran away. Just as Tang Jianing was about to stand up, she found that her legs kept calling. Wu Yuan, you take a break, don't move. Tang Jianing said, sitting here won't affect you. Wu Yuan, I'm afraid it will affect you. It might be a little bloody for a while. You'd better not watch it. Tang Jianing, okay, I don't watch it. Wang Rufang, how bloody, I should avoid it. Wu Yuan, you can do whatever you want, you can't scare people to death anyway. Wang Rufang, you. Tang Jianing, Fang, don't disturb the doctor. Wu Yuan started to act. Wu Yuan's traumatic emergency surgery is level 8, which is already the level of a top expert. Even if he performs surgery in such a place, he is not afraid of making mistakes. It's just that the treatment of such wounds is indeed a lot bloody. Disinfect the skin on the surface first. Then Wu Yuan used a scalpel to open the skin near the wound. At this moment, Wu Yuan stopped. Gui Yiping couldn't help but ask, how is the situation? Wu Yuan, it's very bad. The tendon has broken many roots, and the break is in the shape of a horsetail. Gui Yiping's expression became serious, and the problem of blurred blood was not a big problem, but if the tendon was broken, it was difficult to deal with it, especially the knee, where the bones and tissue structure were relatively complex and difficult to deal with. The so-called horsetail fracture is that the fractured section is uneven and very destructive, which greatly increases the difficulty of repair. Gui Yiping, what should I do? Do you want to take it to the hospital for further treatment? Wu Yuan, do it now, the road conditions are not good, it is too bumpy, and it takes a long time, which can easily cause tissue necrosis. Gui Yiping, do it now. Here. Wu Yuan, it's right here. After that, Wu Yuan started to act. If Wu Yuan were an ordinary surgeon, he would definitely not do this. But because of the super doctor system, Wu Yuan has supervision and 2 stunts that are key to locking. He could now pinpoint the severed tendon in the flesh. At this time, in Wu Yuan's sight, there are many green lines and red lines. The green line is the normal tendon and the red line is the severed tendon. The red lines are even marked with numbers. As long as Wu Yuan connects the 2 red lines of the same number, it is considered that the tendon is connected. This is quite a black technology that most people can never imagine. And don't forget, Wu Yuan's fingers are a terrifyingly flexible creature. After Wu Yuan decided on the idea of repairing the tendon, he was about to act. Wu Yuan, round needle, tendon suture. The nurse responded and handed the thing over. Looking at the nurse's expression, she was obviously quite nervous. In such a situation, anyone would be nervous. Gui Yiping and the nurse on the car had been through many battles, but in such a tragic scene. Still very rare. The key point is that Wu Yuan is too courageous. In the open air, tendon sutures were performed on the injured. No instruments, no quiet and clean environment. A little carelessness can easily lead to serious problems. Wu Yuan used the so-called Kessler suture method, which is common, but requires very high demands on doctors. Gui Yiping and the nurse soon became dumbfounded. He couldn't see Wu Yuan's arm moving at all, he was just relying on the movement of his fingers to operate. Amazing. So detailed. Tang Jianing sat and rested beside him. Said not to look, but still can't help but glance at it. That scene made Tang Jianing secretly startled. What surprised Tang Jianing even more was that Wu Yuan's movements were frighteningly fast, as if he was embroidering. But what Wu Yuan wants to sew is the tendon, which is almost indistinguishable with the naked eye, as small as a strand of hair. It's amazing. Are all surgeons so amazing? Tang Jianing is really not an uninformed girl. She at least knows that the level of Wu Yuan's performance is definitely not something that ordinary surgeons can do. And just by looking at the expressions of Gui Yiping and the nurse, you can see how surprising Wu Yuan's performance was. After a while, I saw Wu Yuan tied the thread and closed the needle. Gui Yiping was already stupid. Is it finished? Wu Yuan nodded. All the tendons are sutured, I'll sew the skin again and it's over. The skin of the knee area is quite difficult to handle. However, Wu Yuan is a man who sews up his tendons perfectly, and this little difficulty is not worth mentioning. It only took 10 minutes and it was over. Wu Yuan didn't need to do the final dressing, and the nurse could do it for him. Gui Yiping was both shocked and admired by Wu Yuan's performance. Gui Yiping, Dr. Wu, fortunately, I found you, otherwise I really don't know what to do. Wu Yuan wiped the sweat with the back of his hand and said a few words modestly. Gui Yiping was really right. If he didn't bring Wu Yuan, then whether the injured actor eldest brother could survive, he was really talking about it. To be honest, Wu Yuan really doesn't feel any trouble now. If you can save this person, it will be worth it, no matter how much you struggle. Wu Yuan never thought of himself as a kind-hearted person, let alone a figure similar to the Virgin Mary. In fact, he quite despised such people. But since Wu Yuan became the host of the super-physician system, it seems that he really can't see the death of someone. As long as there is a silver lining, Wu Yuan will want to save him. Still those 4 words, the doctor's benevolence. This may be the instinct of being a true physician. At this time, Wu Yuan helped Gui Yiping to lift the actor to the folding mobile bed, and then prepared to push it into the ambulance. A wet towel stretched out in front of Wu Yuan. It turned out that Tang Jianing handed it over. Wu Yuan took the wipes and said with a smile, "Big star, thank you." Tang Jianing, "No thanks, you are working hard, you should." Wu Yuan gave a, thinking that Tang Jianing is a really good actress. Although he looks cold and doesn't like to laugh very much, he is quite reasonable and considerate. The main thing is that the voice is very nice. Wu Yuan, are you going to film here for a long time? Tang Jianing nodded, I'll probably stay for another 3 months. Wu Yuan, it's hard work. Tang Jianing, it's still harder for you. In fact, my grandfather is also a doctor. When I was a child, my mother and I went to the hospital to see my grandfather, and I remember that he was often busy in the hospital until late. Wu Yuan was startled, but he didn't expect Tang Jianing's grandfather to be a doctor. This thing is new. In fact, if Wu Yuan knew who Tang Jianing's grandfather was, he would definitely be more surprised. That was no ordinary character. At this moment, Wu Yuan saw that the patient had been pushed into the ambulance and everything was ready. Wu Yuan turned his head and said to Tang Jianing, I should go, by the way, you, Wu Yuan saw Tang Jianing's body swaying, and his eyes were a little blurry. Then, Tang Jianing's body fell to the side. Good guy. Wu Yuan took Tang Jianing's arms in one stride. Only then did Wang Rufeng realize that she screamed loudly, You! What are you doing? Wu Yuan, don't make any noise, she is anemic and fainted. Wang Rufeng, then, what should I do? Wu Yuan sighed, cold salad, hurry up, take the car up, and take it to the hospital. Gui Yiping was stunned when he saw it. How did this happen? Why one more? And it's that big star Tang Jianing. Wang Rufeng, hurry up. Wu Yuan, don't worry, she should just go to the hospital for observation. Wang Rufeng didn't feel relieved, and got into the ambulance. So the ambulance pulled the 2 actors and drove to the hospital. And this hospital, of course, is the affiliated hospital of Yenjiang University. Wu Yuan thought very carefully, and directly pushed Tang Jianing into the innermost room of the observation ward. This is a separate room with 2 beds, which is usually not used when there are few people. Fortunately, there are fewer people in the emergency department of the affiliated hospital of Yenjiang University during the day. Otherwise, Tang Jianing, a beautiful actress with such a high degree of recognition, will definitely cause a sensation, and then alarm the media. At this moment, Wang Rufeng remembered something important, and hurriedly called the crew to explain the situation. Although this will also cause a turmoil, but in the end, the paper can't contain the fire, so I can only tell the truth. Of course, director Zhou Chao was also in a hurry. Tang Jianing's identity was different. She was a first-line actress and the protagonist, so she had to drive to the hospital. Wang Rufeng didn't let the director come over, thinking that the movement would be too big. Wang Rufeng, Director Zhou, don't come here. The whole world knows that Tang Jianing fainted, and he is in a hospital in Yenjiang. It will be bad by then. As the saying goes, care is messy. It was only then that Zhou Chao suddenly realized that he was really known by the paparazzi and the gossip entertainment media. Maybe he would write about it in the news. Shocking secret. Tang Jianing was suddenly admitted to the hospital. Insiders revealed that there may be a miscarriage of pregnancy. Tang Jianing suddenly fainted in the crew, may he be poisoned? Tang Jianing's experience is bragging, whether it is a loss of morality or a distortion of human nature. Zhou Chao, well, that's fine. You can stay there first and see the situation. If Jia Ning can wake up, of course it would be best. Let her rest for a day and take care of her health. Wang Rufeng, okay, Director Zhou, you can do it first. Wang Rufeng hung up the phone, still anxious to death. If Tang Jianing really can't wake up, it's really the end of the world. Not to mention how good the relationship between Wang Rufeng and Tang Jianing is. No matter how deep, even if there is no emotion, Wang Rufeng will be punished in many ways. Thinking of this, Wang Rufeng was about to cry. What is this all about? Blame that Wu Yuan. While thinking about it, Wang Rufeng turned to look at Tang Jianing. As a result, Tang Jianing actually woke up. Wang Rufang was overjoyed. Jianing, are you alright? Tang Jianing rubbed, it's okay, what's wrong with me? Wang Rufang, it's fine, I'm scared to death. If you have a problem, I'll go and fight with the guy named Wu. Tang Jianing, Dr. Wu. Wang Rufang, yes, Jia Ning, I think that Dr. Wu is very bad and has no good intentions. Tang Jianing sat up from the bed, okay, don't speak ill of people behind your back, where is this? Wang Rufang, the hospital, yes, it's the hospital where Dr. Wu is. Tang Jianing, well, how long have I slept? Wang Rufang, for more than an hour, you don't need to worry about the crew. I have reported to the director. You can rest well today. Tang Jianing was relieved after hearing this. She feels very tired now, and she really hasn't recovered. Wang Rufang, what do you want to eat? I'll buy it for you. Just as Tang Jianing was about to speak, Wang Rufang immediately waved her hand, no, you are a patient, you can't eat anything casually, just now the guy surnamed Wu said that when you wake up, I will give you something to nourish your blood, Jia Ning, you don't run around, you'll cause chaos if you go out like this. After saying that, Wang Rufang opened the door and left. Tang Jianing was stunned, then lay down again. Not to mention, Tang Jianing felt quite comfortable lying here. At the same time, Du Bo had just returned to the office, ready to explain the situation to the two directors. Just now, I ran out with Gui Yiping inexplicably. Although I told the front desk, the two directors also had to explain the situation, so as not to cause any misunderstanding, it would not be worth the loss. Entering the office, I happened to meet Zhao Qin. Zhao Qin was about to leave with a pile of documents. Wu Yuan, Director Zhao, where are you going? Zhao Qin, oh, I'm going to do a debriefing report. Wu Yuan, by the way, Director Zhao, I was pulled out by an ambulance to save people just now. I'm with you. Zhao Qin waved his hand, I already know, there was nothing wrong with the emergency department just now. Wu Yuan, okay, that's fine, then Director Zhao, go ahead. Zhao Qin nodded and said with a smile, Xiao Wu, you have performed well recently. If you seize the opportunity, maybe you can go further. Wu Yuan, okay, I will. Zhao Qin just left. Zhao Qin seemed to be in a good mood, and Wu Yuan put his heart down. The fact that Zhao Qin fought for a quota for Wu Yuan at the meeting had already spread throughout the hospital. Those who are more gossipy, or who are well informed, all know about this. When Wu Yuan and his former colleague Lu Yuheng from General Surgery were eating meat skewers, he fully understood the ins and outs of the incident. To be honest, Wu Yuan is very grateful to Zhao Qin, but also worried that she will be suppressed. Judging from the current situation, Wu Yuan should have thought too much. Seeing that Yulin was making medical records there, Wu Yuan asked, is Director Yen there? Yulin, no, I guess I have another meeting. Yen Wu Yuan will be quite a lot, and an average of one a day is quite conservative. No way, this is also the life of a leader. Wu Yuan thought of Tang Jianing, ready to go over to see her situation. Logically speaking, Tang Jianing should be awake now. If she hasn't woken up, it will be a little troublesome. The observation room and the consultation room are connected together, so it is more convenient to enter from the consultation room. As soon as Wu Yuan arrived at the door of the consultation room, he saw several people walking towards him, 3 in total. An old lady and 2 middle-aged men in their 50s. The beautiful female nurse Chen Yujia led the way. Wu Yuan, what's wrong? Chen Yujia pointed at the old lady and said, the old man's chest hurts badly, so they sent it over. The old lady really grabbed her chest and felt very painful. The 2 middle-aged men supported her from left to right. The 2 middle-aged old ladies are in a mother-son relationship. The old lady's name is Zhu Xinmei, the eldest son's name is Ma Yongkang, and the second son's name is Ma Yongfu. Wu Yuan immediately walked into the consultation room, and while walking, he said, help me here and let me take a look. So, the Ma's father and son brought Zhu Xinmei into the clinic. Under Wu Yuan's command, Zhu Xinmei was placed on a hospital bed. Wu Yuan, auntie, where are you hurting? Zhu Xinmei, just here, my chest hurts. Wu Yuan got up and took a stethoscope from the equipment cabinet. Then put it on Zhu Xinmei's chest, listened for a while, and said, the heart rhythm is not stable, and further examination is needed. Ma Yongkang was startled and asked, Doctor, what kind of disease do you think it might be? Wu Yuan, it's hard to say, I'll open a few checklists for you, check as much as possible, and make a judgment when I get the results. Although Wu Yuan is a surgeon, because he has acquired the skills of advanced neurology, he is definitely an expert in the diagnosis of cardiovascular diseases, and he is at the level of chief physician. Wu Yuan just did a preliminary examination with a stethoscope, and has already made a preliminary judgment on Zhu Xinmei's condition. It is indeed her heart that has a problem, and it should be a serious problem, so further examinations are needed. Ma Yongkang looked at Zhu Xinmei and hesitated. The younger brother Ma Yongfu said, Doctor, will it be just some minor ailments and pains that can be solved by prescribing any medicine? Ma Yongkang nodded immediately, yes, painkillers or something, just take it. Wu Yuan smiled and shook his head. You too, I'm sorry, but there is no such panacea. You must first find out the cause of the disease before prescribing the right medicine. This is common sense. With that said, Wu Yuan opened several sheets with a computer, typed them out with a printer, and handed them to Ma Yongkang. Like what electrocardiogram, coronary angiography, echocardiography, blood routine and so on. Ma Yongkang said with a bitter face, Doctor, isn't it right? Wu Yuan was stunned. What's wrong? Ma Yongkang, too many, you're a little overchecked. Ma Yongfu, yes, the cost is too high. Wu Yuan said solemnly, the heart is not a small problem. It must be checked. If it gets worse, it will be too late to do anything. Wu Yuan knew that the brothers Ma Yongkang and Ma Yongfu were probably afraid of spending money. Either they are stingy, or they are all poor and have a difficult life, so they don't want to check their mother Zhu Xinmei. This situation is very common in hospitals, but most of them are persuaded by a doctor. Still following advice. But the two seemed to be very stubborn, and went outside to discuss together. Wu Yuan and Qin Yujia looked at each other, quite speechless. What did the two sons do? It's like he doesn't care about his mother at all. Zhu Xinmei sighed, scratched her chest again, and said, Doctor, otherwise, give me some quick-acting Jiuxin pills or something. At this time, it happened that Ma Yongkang and Ma Yongfu came in. Ma Yongfu, yes, my mother used to eat it often, and the effect was very good. After eating it, it will be fine. Ma Yongkang, Mom, you really are, why don't you prepare some quick-acting heart-saving pills? As long as you feel your heart is not feeling well, take a few pills and you'll be fine. Ma Yongfu, yes, it's so frustrating. Today is the emergency room. It's too expensive. Qin Yujia couldn't stand it any longer, don't say this, hurry up and check it. Suxiao Jiuxin pills can only be used in emergencies, and they can't be cured. The two brothers were stunned, looked at each other and said nothing. At this time, the old lady Zhu Xinmei suddenly said, Doctor, I'm fine, I feel much better. With that said, Zhu Xinmei sat up. Wu Yuan was stunned, and quickly said, Auntie, don't move around. Zhu Xinmei got off the bed, I'm really fine. Wu Yuan was about to speak, but Ma Yongfu said first, Mom, are you alright? Zhu Xinmei, it's alright. Ma Yongfu, go, I'll take you home. Zhu Xinmei waved her hand, okay, I can walk by myself, I take a taxi by myself, and I have money myself. Ma Yongfu did not speak. Ma Yongkang showed an embarrassed look. For some reason, Wu Yuan felt sour when he heard the three selves. This old lady is really pitiful. Zhu Xinmei's heartache may have really eased, but Wu Yuan knew that it was only temporary. If you don't check and don't treat it, you will definitely repeat it again. It's hard to say whether they can be saved by that time. Seeing that Zhu Xinmei was really about to leave, Wu Yuan quickly stopped her. Wu Yuan thought for a while and said, Auntie, do you think this is okay? Let's take you to check first. You don't need to worry about the money for the check, and we'll talk about it later, okay? Zhu Xinmei was stunned, then waved her hand again, Doctor, forget it, don't check, I'll go home now. Wu Yuan still didn't give up, and continued, listen to me first, according to my experience, there must be something wrong with your heart. If you don't cure it now, it will be more troublesome in the future, and you may not be able to stand up. You don't want to be weak. Can't get out of bed. When Zhu Xinmei heard this, she was shaken. Ma Yongkang couldn't help but say, Doctor, my mother doesn't want to be checked anymore, so don't talk about this, I think you just want to make money. Wu Yuan ignored Ma Yongkang. Zhu Xinmei was angry and scolded, you two bastards. You are so old for Bai Yang. If you want to go, you can go by yourself. Get out. Leave me alone. Ma Yongkang frowned and left without saying a word. Ma Yongfu is not as amazing as Ma Yongkang. After hesitating for a while, he said, Mom, why don't I take you home? Zhu Xinmei raised her hand and was about to fight, but Ma Yongfu didn't insist anymore and ran away. Ma Yongfu said while running, Mom, you, slow down when you go back. Zhu Xinmei's tears fell, but she didn't cry out. Qin Yujia quickly helped Zhu Xinmei to the hospital bed again, and after persuading her a few words, Zhu Xinmei regained her composure. Zhu Xinmei, Doctor, I made you laugh. I know that you are doing it for my own good, and I have money myself. If you want to check what you want, I can go by myself. Zhu Xinmei's wife has passed away, and now her two sons are not filial, she looks lonely, which makes people feel sad. I don't know if the old lady has other children or relatives. But after all, it's a family affair, so Wu Yuan didn't ask too much. He wrote something on the checklist and said, you don't need to worry about the cost, you can check it first. Wu Yuan handed the list to Qin Yujia, Yujia, please help me find a nurse who has time, take my aunt for an examination, and take the green channel. The examination should be completed soon and the result will be released. Qin Yujia nodded, okay, I'll let Feng Qin go, she has no task at hand now. With that said, Chen Yujia helped Zhu Xinmei and left. After a while, Chen Yujia came back. Chen Yujia, Dr. Wu, don't you have to cover the cost of the examination yourself? Wu Yuan waved his hand, it's just a little money, it doesn't matter. Chen Yujia, that's not small money, it's 5 or 6,000 yuan. Checking these items now is indeed not cheap, and it may be cheaper in 10 years because of the reform of the medical system. And at that time, most of the examinations could be reimbursed, which reduced a lot of burden on patients. Not to frighten the two brothers like this. But these $5,000 or $6,000 are really nothing to Wu Yuan. And for helping Zhu Xinmei, Wu Yuan can also earn some rewards through his talent of helping others with pleasure. After all, Wu Yuan not only won't lose money, but also made a profit. It's really a good thing to be a good person and get paid, and have the best of both worlds. But at this time, Wu Yuan didn't think about that at all. Chen Yujia chatted with Wu Yuan a few more words, and then went outside to work. Wu Yuan thought that Tang Jianing was still in the observation ward, so he walked over. Only then did she realize that Tang Jianing was sitting on the hospital bed flipping through a book. It was a copy of Medical Nursing Responsibilities, which was prepared by the affiliated hospital of Yenjiang University by itself, and the binding was very crude. Wu Yuan, yo, what about studying? Tang Jianing gave a, and looked at Wu Yuan, Dr. Wu, are all the doctors in your hospital like you? Wu Yuan was stunned, what? Tang Jianing opened his mouth, then changed his mouth and said, it's nothing. In fact, Tang Jianing heard about the consultation room just now. At this time, Wu Yuan said, it looks like you should have recovered. Tang Jianing, yes, I feel okay, thank you. Wu Yuan laughed, you fainted because of donating blood. We should thank you, right? Tang Jianing, that's true. Wu Yuan, by the way, do you have a blood donation certificate? If not, I can help you complete a copy. In the future, if you are short of blood, you can get a free blood transfusion with the certificate. Tang Jianing, don't curse me with ischemia. Wu Yuan, I'm not cursing you. You have Rh-negative blood. You have to be careful when you go out. If you are injured or lose blood, finding the blood source is a problem. Tang Jianing glanced at Wu Yuan, what you said is exactly the same as my grandfather. At this time, Wang Rufang pushed open the door and came in, and she was shocked to see Wu Yuan also. Wang Rufang, why did you come in so casually? Wu Yuan smiled bitterly and said, this is a hospital, I'm a doctor, why can't I enter? Wang Rufang was speechless for a while, but Wu Yuan said it was fine. Wu Yuan, okay, I won't talk to you anymore, big star, if you want to go to the toilet, find something to cover your face, so as not to expose your identity and lift the roof of our emergency department. Tang Jianing nodded, I see, Dr. Wu, go get yourself busy. Wu Yuan returned to the consultation room. After a while, the old lady Zhu Xinmei came back, accompanied by a nurse with several inspection reports. Wu Yuan let Zhu Xinmei sit on the bed, took over the reports, and read them. Zhu Xinmei looked uneasy. Zhu Xinmei, doctor, am I okay? After reading the report, Wu Yuan sighed, Auntie, your heart problem is very serious, I suggest you have an operation as soon as possible. Zhu Xinmei was shocked, do you still need surgery? Is it that serious? Wu Yuan, judging from these test reports of yours, combined with your symptoms, it is coronary heart disease and cardiovascular blockage. I don't recommend you to drag it on. It is easy to be life-threatening, especially in winter. Zhu Xinmei, yes, I am particularly short of breath in winter, and I don't dare to go out of the house at all. Wu Yuan, so, I suggest you do bypass surgery. Zhu Xinmei's situation can only be alleviated by stenting, but the effect is not good. Wu Yuan still wants her to solve the hidden danger at one time. Zhu Xinmei, did you do it for me? Wu Yuan shook his head. He wanted to do bypass surgery on Zhu Xinmei, but he couldn't figure it out. Wu Yuan has developed a lot of surgical skills, basically all of them are general surgery, and there is no surgical skills such as cardiac surgery and neurosurgery. Wu Yuan, I can't do it here, I will help you transfer to a doctor who can do bypass surgery. At the affiliated hospital of Yenjiang University, Sun Jianzhong is the only doctor who is most confident in performing heart bypass surgery. Sun Jianzhong is the director of general surgery, but he also has good attainments in neurosurgery and cardiac surgery. This is also the reason why Sun Jianzhong can walk almost sideways in Yanda affiliated hospital. Zhu Xinmei, doctor, why don't I do it slowly? Wu Yuan knew what Zhu Xinmei was worried about, and it was nothing more than the cost of surgery. At this time, for heart bypass surgery, no one with 200,000 or 300,000 would dare to go to the operating table. In the next few years, the cost of stent and bypass surgery will gradually decrease, but at least 100,000 soft sister coins must be prepared to be enough. Wu Yuan, Auntie, do you have medical insurance? Zhu Xinmei nodded, yes, there is medical insurance, which is provided by the unit. Wu Yuan, that's not bad, it can save a lot of money. Zhu Xinmei nodded, tears falling, thank you, doctor, I'll think about it. This time is not the same as 10 years later, and the popularity of medical insurance is still very low. Especially the elderly, unless they are retired from state-owned enterprises and institutions, there are really few people who have medical insurance. Zhu Xinmei was a worker from a state-owned enterprise, so she still has medical insurance, but the reimbursement rate is not high. The two sons were hopeless, and it was obviously impossible to provide any money for the operation on the old lady. The wife is gone again. I have savings, but I also have to retire. It is impossible to spend all of it for surgery. When Zhu Xinmei thought of this, of course she couldn't stop crying. Zhu Xinmei, doctor, I know you're doing it for my own good, I know. I promised my wife that I have to live well, it's a big deal. I'm going to sell the house and have an operation. Wu Yuan's eyes were a little sour when he heard this. His mental age is relatively old, and he is used to seeing the warmth and affection of human beings, but this situation is inevitably distressing. If Zhu Xinmei is really too financially stressed, Wu Yuan is also willing to help her. In fact, Wu Yuan won't have any loss, and his talent of helping others can completely make up for it. Wu Yuan patted Zhu Xinmei's hand and asked, Auntie, besides those two sons, do you have any other children? Zhu Xinmei wiped her tears. There is also a daughter who works in the imperial capital. Wu Yuan, you didn't tell her about it. Zhu Xinmei, she's busy with work, so it's too much trouble for her to run around, so forget it. Wu Yuan, Auntie, this is not a trivial matter, you must tell her. Zhu Xinmei hesitated for a moment, then nodded. So Zhu Xinmei took out her cell phone, dialed her daughter's cell phone number, and told her about her heart problem. The daughter was very anxious to hear it and was about to drive back. Zhu Xinmei, no, don't be in such a hurry, Wu Yuan said solemnly, Auntie, call me and I'll make it clear to her. Zhu Xinmei was startled, and gave the phone to Wu Yuan. Wu Yuan, hello, I'm a doctor in the emergency department of the hospital. My surname is Wu. Wu Yuan, that's right. Your mother's heart condition is very bad and needs to be operated on immediately. Wu Yuan explained Zhu Xinmei's heart condition to her daughter in detail. Her daughter listened very seriously. Wu Yuan could feel it, this daughter is much stronger than those two sons. Wu Yuan, so I suggest your mother to arrange for bypass surgery as soon as possible. Wu Yuan, it's okay to do it in this hospital, but it's better to go to the imperial capital. Well, I suggest going to the imperial capital. The imperial capital Fuwai Hospital has the most experience in doing this kind of surgery, and it's more formal in all aspects. Wu Yuan, okay, you can arrange it, okay, come back as soon as possible, she is prone to accidents by herself. After speaking, Wu Yuan returned the phone to Zhu Xinmei. Zhu Xinmei's daughter will drive back today and take her to the imperial capital. Her daughter should do well in the imperial capital, and she should earn a lot if she can drive in the imperial capital this year. Wu Yuan put his heart down. Zhu Xinmei hung up the phone, wiped her tears again, and said, I'm sorry, Dr. Wu, I'm really bothering you. Wu Yuan, it doesn't matter, it should be. I think your daughter is good. You don't have to rely on your son in the future, you can just rely on your daughter. There are many children, there are always reliable and unreliable. Wu Yuan didn't say this. After all, it's someone else's housework, and it's not easy for outsiders to point out. Zhu Xinmei nodded. Wu Yuan, don't sell the house, it is a place to live, and it is also a memory to keep, don't you think? Zhu Xinmei's tears came out again, yes, my wife and I have lived there for a lifetime, and I can't bear to sell it. Wu Yuan chatted with Zhu Xinmei for a while, seeing that her mood was stable. He also prescribed a few emergency medicines to her, and asked the nurse to give her directly. Then, Wu Yuan ordered Zhu Xinmei to the door, helped stop the taxi, and then returned to the emergency department with confidence. Wu Yuan treats Zhu Xinmei so well, but he really doesn't feel sorry for her. Wu Yuan just remembered his mother. It was exactly 10 years later that her mother also had a heart problem and needed bypass surgery. Wu Yuan felt sympathy for this, and felt that he should help if he could. At the same time, in the independent ward for observation, Tang Jianing and Wang Rufang chatted in a low voice. They also heard the conversation between Wu Yuan and Zhu Xinmei just now, and they were quite emotional. Wang Rufang, this Dr. Wu doesn't look like a good person. I didn't expect his heart to be okay, not bad. Tang Jianing, don't talk nonsense, why doesn't he look like a good person? Wang Rufang made a cut, I think he was not at ease at first. At this time, Tang Jianing said, okay, call Director Zhou and ask him to send a car to pick it up. Wang Rufang, are you alright? Tang Jianing shook his head, it's alright, I just feel a little weak, just go back to the hotel and rest for a night. Tang Jianing added, you can't keep people standing on the bed all the time. Wang Rufang thought it was right, she took out her mobile phone, called Director Zhou Chao, and asked him to send a car to pick them up back to the hotel. The car sent by Zhou Chao soon arrived at the hospital. Tang Jianing originally wanted to say something to Wu Yuan, but the time was too tight, and he was worried that his identity would be exposed and cause confusion, and Wu Yuan was not found for a while. No way, Wang Rufeng told the nurse at the front desk to tell Wu Yuan. After Wu Yuan found out, he was heartbroken again. What the hell? This time I forgot to sign my autograph, so I took a group photo. What a great opportunity. Wu Yuan felt as if he had lost 10 million in a state of indifference. But seeing a big star twice, and hugging Tang Jianing once when she fainted, Wu Yuan felt that it was really not a loss, and it took a lot of advantage. Thinking of this, Wu Yuan felt a little comfort in his heart. What I didn't say, Wu Yuan is just a little doctor. The big stars are too far away from him, so let's work with peace of mind. The next few days were turbulent again. But the emergency department doesn't know what's going on, it seems to be busier than before. In the past, during the day, it would have been good to receive more than 5 emergency departments, but these days, it has been more than 10. The highest one even reached 13 times. The emergency department was unprepared. Several doctors were busy, and even Yan Guiyuan, who had always been loafing, got started. Nurses have also started talking about the anomaly. Yujia, why do you think? Why are you so busy now? I'm not happy anymore. What are you talking about? What do you mean by being unhappy? Isn't this a good thing? It shows that patients trust the emergency department of our hospital. But this is too sudden, why didn't you trust us before? How do I know? I told you too, I actually asked a patient, and I saw that he was not too sick, so I asked him why he was in the emergency department. Guess what he said? How to say? Oh, don't make our appetite, tell us the answer quickly. He said the emergency department is of a high standard. Everyone felt strange when they heard it. Why do you think the level of emergency departments is high? It doesn't make sense at all. The nurse explained. He also said that one of his relatives, the survivor of the last Beihuan car accident, was seriously injured, and was pulled back from the gate of hell by the doctors in our emergency department. The crowd suddenly realized. It turns out that word of mouth is spreading. It has been some time since the serious car accident on the North Ring Road, and the emergency department has indeed contributed a lot and saved several people. At this time, Chen Yujia said, I think that person should be rescued by Dr. Wu. Feng Qing and several other nurses laughed. Dr. Wu, you know Dr. Wu. You don't think people are handsome? That's right, hurry up and find him. But the little nurses were making trouble, and they were generally very convinced of Wu Yuan's medical skills. At the same time, Wu Yuan, who was doing appendicitis surgery, couldn't help but sneezed a lot. If he hadn't stopped the knife and accepted me quickly, he would have almost pierced a hole in the patient's stomach. Wu Yuan is in a good mood these days and enjoys the surgery. But he didn't know that Director Zhao Qin was about to run into trouble, very serious trouble. Zhao Qin has been very busy recently, very busy, because she is preparing for the promotion of the chief doctor. Zhao Qin graduated with a master's degree in medicine and later obtained a doctorate. She has been in the field of surgeons for more than 10 years, and she was easily promoted to deputy chief physician with her extraordinary talent. Zhao Qin has been a deputy chief physician for just 5 years, and is also eligible for further promotion. For a doctor within a system, the title is very important. Not only is it closely related to the income of doctors, but it is also a symbol of status in the hospital and the medical world. No doctor wants to be a chief physician because that is the highest rank in the medical profession. It's just that it's very difficult to become a chief physician, and some people don't even dare to think about it. Zhao Qin's own conditions are very good, and his spirit is also very high, and he has long been preparing for the promotion of chief physician. He has published several papers and research results in medical journals, which is a must. After Zhao Qin submitted the application, he calmed down as much as possible and waited for the news. Although Zhao Qin has a relatively indifferent temperament, when faced with such a major promotion of professional title, it is inevitable that he will still feel uneasy. On this day, Dean Tian Hongchun went to Zhao Qin and said that he had something to tell her. Sitting in the office, Zhao Qin groaned, wondering if it was about the promotion of professional titles. It stands to reason that this time should not be the time to announce the results, is it said. An ominous premonition rose in Zhao Qin's heart. But she immediately forcibly suppressed the idea, feeling that even if there was news, it shouldn't be so fast. Caring is messy, maybe it's just some work things to tell her to Zhao Qin. When Zhao Qin entered the dean's office, he saw not only the dean Tian Hongchun, but also the 2 vice deans Gao Minqing and Wang Jinlu. Zhao Qin greeted the 3 of them. Tian Hongchun, Director Zhao, sit down. Zhao Qin sat down. President Tian, what's the matter with me? Tian Hongchun, Director Zhao, it's about your job title. Zhao Qin was stunned, is there any news now? Tian Hongchun nodded, that's right, Director Zhao, your application has been returned. As soon as Zhao Qin heard this, his face changed. He didn't expect to receive such news. Dean Tian, why? Me and my conditions are met. Why was it returned? Tian Hongchun waved his hand, Director Zhao, don't get excited, we'll tell you slowly. Zhao Qin had been preparing for so long, but she thought it was a sure thing, but suddenly told her that it was no longer possible. How could she be calm? However, the other three were the deans after all, so Zhao Qin still tried to calm herself down and listen to what Tian Hongchun had to say. Tian Hongchun, that's it. The feedback I got is, your thesis does not meet the conditions for promotion. Maybe it's still lacking some enthusiasm. Zhao Qin was stunned. Still owe the heat. Zhao Qin wrote 3 papers, each of which was a work of painstaking efforts. She consulted a lot of materials, and it took more than 3 months for each of them. Moreover, the thesis is full of Zhao Qin's experience and research results. If this does not meet the promotion requirements, then Zhao Qin really doesn't know how to write it. Zhao Qin, 3 deans, I don't understand. You 3 have read my papers. They all said at the time that it was no problem, and they would definitely pass. Why don't they meet the promotion requirements now? Tian Hongchun was a little embarrassed, I think the paper you wrote is really good, and the level is very high, but maybe the requirements for papers have been adjusted now. Zhao Qin, this doesn't make sense. I haven't heard that the standards of the paper have changed. Even if there is a change, at least it must be well documented. Tian Hongchun said helplessly, Director Zhao, to be honest, it's not a big deal. It won't work this year, and next year. You're still so young, and sooner or later you can be rated as a chief physician. In fact, Zhao Qin also knows that Tian Hongchun can't decide anything, but he is not reconciled. Obviously all the conditions are met, and even beyond the requirements, why should you be stuck with her? At this time, Wang Jinlu smiled and persuaded, Director Zhao, Dean Tian is right, you are so young, there will be opportunities in the future, let alone a year, even if you come for another 3 or 5 years, you can still afford it. Zhao Qin glanced at Wang Jinlu, why did she feel that the more she heard it, the more awkward it became? This means that it is not enough to be stuck with her for 1 year, and it will take another 3 or 5 years. Zhao Qin thought it was boring, so he said, okay, I understand, then I'll go out first. Tian Hongchun breathed a sigh of relief, okay, then you go back and sort it out first to see what went wrong. I'll still say the same thing. I can't do it this year. I'll work hard next year. It's no big deal. Wang Jinlu, yes, there are people who can't be rated as chief physicians in their entire lives, aren't there? Zhao Qin didn't even look at Wang Jinlu, she turned her head and left. After Zhao Qin opened the door and went out, Wang Jinlu smiled and shook his head, it's hot and humid, Director Zhao is still the same. Tian Hongchun, understandable, after all, Director Zhao himself is very good. I thought it was no problem, but suddenly there is a problem. It is really difficult to accept. Gao Minsheng, yes, it is indeed a big blow for Director Zhao. I hope she can figure it out for herself. If she can't do it this year, she will continue to work hard next year. Wang Jinlu took a sip of tea and smiled without saying a word. Zhao Qin came to the corridor and took a while to calm down. Zhao Qin's character is very strong, very direct, and at the same time, he is not the kind of person who is good at dancing. Therefore, Zhao Qin's ability is strong, but he often suffers in interpersonal relationships. Zhao Qin also knows his shortcomings, but it's not that he can't change them. She is a smart person, and the reason why she was stuck might be that someone made some small moves. Of course, Zhao Qin didn't have any evidence, nor could there be any evidence, so he could only smash his teeth and swallow it in his stomach. As Tian Hongchun said, maybe Zhao Qin can only wait until next year. Zhao Qin returned to the office and saw Wu Yuan walking out again. Wu Yuan, Director Zhao, are you back? Zhao Qin nodded, yes, go get busy. Wu Yuan walked out. He is an old fritter who has lived for 10 more years. Of course, he can see that Zhao Qin is sullen and forced to smile. Something must have happened. But Wu Yuan won't ask too much. There are already many troubles for adults, and who doesn't hide things in their hearts. The next day, Wu Yuan got off work normally and met Lu Yuheng from general surgery again. Wu Yuan, what are you going to do? Lu Yuheng, go home. Wu Yuan, let's go, have a drink. Lu Yuheng, okay, treat yourself. Wu Yuan rolled his eyes, thought about it, and said, you eat less kidneys. Lu Yuheng, what's wrong with the waste? Great supplement. Wu Yuan, it's too expensive, and even if it's a big supplement, you have nowhere to use it. Lu Yuheng, oh, drink. Who are you looking down on? Both of them were too idle to lighten the pain, so they went to the barbecue stall near the hospital to make skewers. Lu Yuheng picked up the wine glass and once again got the system to Wu Yuan, expressing envy and hatred. Lu Yuheng, what's the matter with you? Wu Yuan, what happened to me? Lu Yuheng, where did that ignorant fool go? Wu Yuan, fuck. Who are you talking about? Lu Yuheng, who else is there? Hey, I said do you have any problem? Wu Yuan threw a peanut bean and smashed Lu Yuheng's forehead, are you crazy, do you have any good words? Lu Yuheng put down the wine glass, wiped his forehead, and said, have you been bitten by something recently? I suspect that your brain has mutated. From a medical point of view. Wu Yuan became violent and almost strangled Lu Yuheng to death. I asked you to speak from a medical point of view, how do you understand this? Lu Yuheng immediately begged for mercy, Master, forgive me. The meat is stuck in my throat. I'm going to die. Only then did Wu Yuan let Lu Yuheng go. Having said that, Wu Yuan has indeed become the host, and Lu Yuheng's guess is not too outrageous. Wu Yuan's changes are indeed great, and it is inevitable that people who are familiar with him will not suspect him. But no matter how much you doubt it, you can never guess the real reason. The two continued to talk nonsense again, chatting about the beautiful little nurses. At this time, Lu Yuheng said again, by the way, Ning Shui mentioned you a few days ago. Wu Yuan was stunned, mentioned to me. Why? Ning Shui was the beautiful physician in the internal medicine department, and she was always known for her arrogance in the hospital. Many young male doctors have moved their index fingers, and I don't know if anyone can handle it. Lu Yuheng, I don't know why, maybe I heard that you got the system with an overwhelming advantage, so I think it's amazing. Wu Yuan, it's amazing, your sister. Ning Shui was probably really curious about Wu Yuan. Before the internal medicine, Wu Yuan helped a lot, and in the recent, compiling competition, he was well received. It is estimated that Dr. Lu Dazhu, the director of internal medicine, has a lot of good things about Wu Yuan behind his back. Lu Yuheng, by the way, Fang Yangyang in your emergency department is not bad, have you done it yet? Wu Yuan, what do you think? She's still a little girl. Lu Yuheng, little girl? It's not too small, she's all practiced. Wu Yuan, you beast. Hurry up and eat your meat. The two laughed and scolded for a while, then filled the beer again. Lu Yuheng suddenly thought of something and whispered, by the way, and Director Zhao of your emergency department. Wu Yuan was stunned, what's wrong with Director Zhao? Could it be that Zhao Qin has any unseen deeds? Lu Yuheng, Director Zhao didn't comment on the chief doctor, have you heard? Wu Yuan was stunned again, I haven't heard of it, what's going on? Why didn't you comment? According to Wu Yuan's judgment, unless Zhao Qin is not qualified enough to be promoted to attending physician. Otherwise, with Zhao Qin's own conditions, he would not be rated as a chief physician, that would be hell. Lu Yuheng, why don't you ask, someone is wearing small shoes for Director Zhao. Wu Yuan's eyes widened and he was angry, fuck. Who is it? Lu Yuheng, shoo, don't get excited. Are you crazy? Wu Yuan looked left and right, okay, there are no people from our hospital, tell me, who wears shoes for Director Zhao? During this time, Wu Yuan was not less taken care of by Zhao Qin. Even getting the compilation, if it hadn't been for Zhao Qin's help, it would have been impossible. As soon as I heard that Zhao Qin had been tricked, Wu Yuan's temper came up. Lu Yuheng lowered his voice again and said, I can't talk nonsense about this, but it's spreading now. It seems that Zhao Qin offended the king because of you. Wu Yuan was stunned, Your Majesty. King is the nickname given to Wang Jinlu by many people in the hospital in private. Wang Jinlu usually does not show the mountains and waters, and he is very low-key on the surface, but in fact he is quite domineering in private and often opens people at every turn, so he is called the king. Of course, he played some unimportant characters, and he didn't dare to move if he was really capable. Wu Yuan's expression was solemn. He also heard about Zhao Qin's offending Wang Jinlu some time ago. It is said that he had a verbal conflict with Wang Jinlu because of the nomination of Wu Yuan. But later on, everything was fine, and Wu Yuan successfully got the compilation, and Wu Yuan thought that this matter was over. Unexpectedly, this still happened. Lu Yuheng added, it's also a coincidence, you got out of your business first, and then I caught up with Director Zhao to apply for a job title promotion. Many people guessed that, but I don't know if it's true or not. Wu Yuan nodded and remained silent. Whether this is true or not, Wu Yuan really feels guilty. Zhao Qin and Wu Yuan are not related, and Wu Yuan did not give any special benefits. Zhao Qin was able to help Wu Yuan like this out of good intentions and did not want to bury talents. If Zhao Qin really didn't get the title of chief physician because of this incident, then Wu Yuan would be really uncomfortable. Lu Yuheng patted Wu Yuan on the shoulder, you don't have to think too much. Director Zhao's ability is obvious to all. It won't work this year, but it will definitely work next year. What can Wu Yuan say? Just nod in silence. The next day, when Wu Yuan saw that Zhao Qin was back to normal, he felt a lot more stable. In fact, I don't feel good about myself. With Wu Yuan's mental age, this matter is still clear. At this moment, Yan Buiyuan walked in. The people in the office were originally hanging Erlang, but they immediately got serious. Yan Buiyuan hasn't shown much recently, and he doesn't know what he's doing. Yan Buiyuan put the bag in his hand in front of his desk, and then walked over to Wu Yuan. Wu Yuan was taken aback and thought about it for a long time. He has performed very well recently. No one has been recruited and no one has been offended. I also got the preparation, which will add glory to the emergency department. Yen Weiyuan, Dr. Wu, you have nothing to do right now. Come with me. Wu Yuan looked up at Yen Weiyuan, with a smile on his face, as if he wanted to teach others a lesson. But Wu Yuan's heart is also hairy. When has Yen Weiyuan been so amiable? Wu Yuan, ah. Director Yen, where are you going? Yen Weiyuan, Dean sighed. Wu Yuan was stunned. Dean. Yen Weiyuan patted Wu Yuan on the shoulder. Okay, don't think too much about it, it's a good thing. Hurry up, don't let people worry about it. Everyone in the office looked at Wu Yuan with a look of envy and hatred. Is it a good thing? What a good thing the dean found Wu Yuan. Wu Yuan got up and followed Yen Weiyuan and went out. Although it is a good thing, Wu Yuan is still quite stunned, and he really doesn't understand what a good thing will be. It stands to reason that the compilation has been taken for a while, so there is no need to go to the scene to praise it specifically, right? For the dean, there are so many doctors that he has compiled, and he can't praise it. Whether it was a previous life or this life, it was the first time Wu Yuan went to the dean's office, wondering if he should take off his shoes when entering. It turns out that it is not necessary. The dean's office is just an office, no different from an ordinary office, except for a few more paintings and calligraphy at most. As soon as Wu Yuan came in, Tian Hongchun looked at Wu Yuan with a smile, and saw Wu Yuan's head was hairy. Tian Hongchun, Dr. Wu, sit down. Wu Yuan was sitting on the sofa when he noticed that there were several other people in the office. The two vice presidents, Gao Minsheng and Wang Jinlu. There is also an old man and a young man. This old man. Huh. Wu Yuan looked at this old man very familiar, and it took a while to remember that this is the old man who was rescued in the Starbucks coffee shop before. How did this old man find this place? After seeing Wu Yuan, the old man stood up and asked the young man next to him, Xiao Zhou, is that him? That young man was the old man's driver and bodyguard, Zhou Qiang. Zhou Qiang nodded immediately, it's him. The old man took the initiative to come over and saw that he was walking like a tiger, and he was no longer sick at all. The old man, Dr. Wu, I finally saw you today. The old man took his hand and grabbed Wu Yuan firmly. Wu Yuan, well, this is. It was in a hurry at the time, and Wu Yuan didn't know the old man's name, so he really didn't know how to call him. The old man laughed, Dr. Wu, my surname is Fu, and my name is Fu Pingyi. Wu Yuan said, oh, Fu. Huh. Fu Pingyi. Only then did Wu Yuan remember who Fu Pingyi was. Isn't that the great businessman Fu Pingyi who was born in Yanjiang City and has done business all over the country and even to the world? This is a real Confucian businessman. Not only does his business do well, but he is also proficient in Chinese studies. He is good at writing and painting landscapes. Wu Yuan often heard about Fu Pingyi's deeds when he was a child, and he was very famous. Fu Pingyi's calligraphy and paintings are said to be very expensive, starting from 1 million yuan. But Wu Yuan remembered that Fu Pingyi died very early. It happened that Wu Yuan had been working not long ago. When Wu Yuan thought of this, his expression changed. The Queen Mother. Could it be that Wu Yuan changed history and rescued Fu Pingyi? This is very possible. Counting the time, this year should be the year Fu Pingyi died of illness. He should have died in the coffee shop. However, Wu Yuan accidentally changed the course of history, he did not die. Wu Yuan suddenly felt like a dream. Inadvertently, he seems to have done something big. Fu Pingyi felt very strange when he saw that Wu Yuan's face was yellow for a while, then green for a while, as if he was poisoned. Fu Pingyi, Dr. Wu, what's wrong with you? Are you feeling unwell? Wu Yuan came back to his senses and waved his hands quickly. No, Mr. Fu, you are a big celebrity. Isn't this very surprising to me? It's a pleasant surprise to have the opportunity to meet you. Fu Pingyi laughed and patted Wu Yuan on the shoulder. You saved my life, and it is an unexpected joy that I can see you. Wang Jinlu and Gao Minsheng looked at each other, and both felt it was incredible. Fu Pingyi suddenly came to the affiliated hospital of Yanjiang University, which made the three deans panic. Such a big celebrity came here without saying hello. I don't know why, so I can't make people feel terrified. At that time, Tian Hongchun thought that he had offended Mr. Fu, so he came to settle the account in person. Who knew that Fu Pingyi said as soon as he came up, he wanted to find a doctor named Wu Yuan. So everyone thought, when did Wu Yuan offend Mr. Fu? As soon as Fu Pingyi explained it, it was even more surprising. Unexpectedly, Wu Yuan performed emergency surgery on Fu Pingyi, who was suffering from epilepsy, in a cafe in the city. This thing is weird enough. Wu Yuan is a resident physician, not to mention whether he has the ability to perform emergency surgery outside. Even if he does, he is too daring. If this is bad, you will lose your doctor's license. But now it's a good thing, Fu Pingyi personally came to the door to thank him, which is also a great face for the affiliated hospital of Yanda University. You must know that Fu Pingyi has a very wide network of people. He has a lot of connections in the Municipal Medical Doctor Association, the Provincial Medical Doctor Association, and even the National Medical Doctor Association. At this time, Tian Hongchun, old Fu, sit down quickly, sit down and talk. Fu Pingyi, good. Everyone was sitting on the sofa again. Tian Hongchun was obviously also quite happy. I didn't expect Dr. Wu to do such a great thing outside. Dr. Wu, you really are, you should tell us about this. Wu Yuan made a haha, trying to fool the past, thinking that if he said it, he would definitely be investigated, and there would be more trouble. Fu Pingyi, President Tian, your hospital has really cultivated a good doctor with excellent character and medical skills. At that time, I was unconscious, and it was Dr. Wu who went all out to save me at a critical juncture. I heard what Xiao Zhou said, there was nothing at that time, and Dr. Wu used a fruit knife, a straw, and performed emergency surgery for me. Having said that, Fu Pingyi gave Wu Yuan another thumbs up. Dr. Wu, you are really amazing. Fu Pingyi's words fooled everyone else present. For a doctor, doing something like this is unbelievable. Gao Minsheng, using a straw. Wang Jinlu, fruit knife. Yan Weiyuan, my god. Wu Yuan, how dare you. Tian Hongchun, When Tian Hongchun saw that the three people had lost their way, he quickly coughed twice to remind them not to criticize them blindly. Tian Hongchun, yes, although Dr. Wu is not very standardized, in order to save people, a good doctor must judge the situation, especially Mr. Fu's situation. If he hesitates, there may be danger. Fu Pingyi, that's right, that's what's so great about Dr. Wu. I'm not a doctor, but I also know that the doctor's purpose is to save lives and heal the wounded. It's right to do things according to the rules. No rules can't make a circle, but if you're afraid of breaking the rules, ignoring human life, then you don't deserve to be a doctor. When everyone heard Fu Pingyi say this, they quickly said yes, nodding like a chicken eating rice. Fu Pingyi added, I asked my doctor about it later. If Dr. Wu had not done the emergency surgery in time, the biggest possibility would have been brain death. When the others heard it, they couldn't help taking a deep breath. Although they were both doctors, they didn't expect it to be so critical at the time. Thinking of it this way, Wu Yuan's emergency surgery was indeed very decisive, otherwise the consequences would be disastrous. Tian Hongchun nodded and said to Wu Yuan sincerely, Dr. Wu, well done. Wu Yuan felt embarrassed for a while. To be honest, whether it was in the previous life or the current life, Wu Yuan didn't expect to be praised by President Tian Hongchun. This is too much to say. Fu Pingyi added, Dr. Wu, when you left, you didn't even leave your name. He is indeed a doctor with good character. For this, I really admire Fu Pingyi. Wu Yuan quickly waved his hand, Fu Xianyu, don't say that, it's right to save people, and it's totally unnecessary to leave names, that would be too fake. Fu Pingyi nodded, if it wasn't for the girl who was there at the time, we really wouldn't be able to find you. Wu Yuan was stunned, that girl. Wu Yuan just remembered that Hu Yunting was there at the time. Hu Yunting was Wu Yuan's ex-girlfriend, so naturally she knew Wu Yuan. As for whether she knew Wu Yuan's work unit, Wu Yuan didn't know at the time. It seems that Fu Pingyi asked Hu Yunting to know about Wu Yuan, so he came here all the way. Fu Pingyi, originally, I wanted to thank you earlier, but when I'm young, my body is not as good as it was in the past, and my recovery is very slow, so it's delayed until now. Dr. Wu, I'm really grateful. The life-saving grace is more important than Mount Tai. Wu Yuan smiled bitterly and said, Mr. Fu, what you said is too serious. I'm a doctor, and it's my duty to save people. It's really nothing. Fu Pingyi, okay. Dr. Wu, I have made an appointment with you as a friend. Everyone was startled. Fu Pingyi wants to make friends with Wu Yuan. This is incredible, is it a year-end marriage? Wu Yuan suddenly became an enviable, jealous guy. Especially Wang Jinlu, I really don't understand what's going on with this kid Wu Yuan. Sun Jianzhong clearly said that Wu Yuan is a half-baked doctor who is ignorant and ignorant. That's not right at all. It looks like a monster now. It doesn't matter if you get the system, but you still have a big guy like Fu Pingyi. It's really unacceptable. Fu Pingyi suddenly said, by the way, President Tian, Dr. Wu, since we are all here, let's have a meal at noon today, I'll be the host. Tian Hongchun, this. Fu Pingyi, knowing that this is not in compliance with the regulations, I promise that it will not delay your work, and I have an appointment with Vice President Liu of the Provincial Medical Doctor Association. He happens to be in Yanjiang City. Do you think it is a coincidence? Tian Hongchun was shocked. Vice President Liu of the Provincial Medical Doctor Association. Is that Liu Changshan? That is a big man, not anyone who wants to see it can see it. It is said that Fu Pingyi and Liu Changshan are iron buddies, and it seems to be true. Tian Hongchun looked at Gao Minsheng, Wang Jinlu, and Yan Weiyuan. None of the three of them spoke, and the expressions on their faces were as calm as possible, but some small excitement could still be seen. Needless to say, they wanted to eat this meal too. Not only can I have a good relationship with Fu Pingyi, but I can also meet Vice President Liu. Opportunities like this don't come around all the time, and everyone probably won't come across them once in their lifetime. Tian Hongchun said with a, since Mr. Fu said so, then of course we should be respectful rather than obedient. Fu Pingyi, that's right, it's good for everyone to sit together and have a good chat. Tian Hongchun said to everyone, but everyone has arranged their work well, so that nothing should go wrong. The other three of course kept saying yes, pretending to be calm on their faces, but in fact their hearts were overjoyed. At this time, Wu Yuan suddenly said, Mr. Fu, I still want to call someone, I don't know if I can do it. Fu Pingyi laughed, Dr. Wu, don't mention one person, even 10 people, I can afford it. Wu Yuan laughed, Mr. Fu, I will only invite one person, my teacher and the doctor of the emergency department. She has helped me a lot. The others looked at each other. Needless to say, I guessed that Wu Yuan was definitely going to find Zhao Qin. Wang Jinlu, Dr. Wu, who do you want to call? Wu Yuan, I want to call Director Zhao over. Wang Jinlu hesitated for a moment and said, there is still work in the emergency room, so don't call Director Zhao, or if something happens, no one will be watching. Gao Minsheng, yeah, it's not appropriate to go to so many people. Wu Yuan said lightly, okay, then I won't go. If the emergency room gets busy for a while, Director Zhao may not be able to hold it. As soon as these words came out, everyone's expressions were stunned. Wu Yuan's meaning is very clear, Zhao Qin does not go, Wu Yuan also does not go. This kid's behavior is becoming more and more incomprehensible. Wang Jinlu's face was the ugliest, but this was a direct blow to his face. Fu Pingyi looked at the reactions of these people hesitantly, and said, is it so difficult to invite a doctor to go with you? President Tian, your hospital is so short of doctors. Tian Hongchun looked embarrassed, no, Mr. Fu, you misunderstood, our hospital does not lack doctors, Dr. Wu, then you can call Director Zhao over. Wu Yuan nodded and said to Fu Pingyi, Mr. Fu, I'll be right back. Fu Pingyi replied with a smile, it's okay, don't worry. After Wu Yuan left, Fu Pingyi sat on the sofa again, without saying a word, and began to close his eyes and rest. The others looked at each other in dismay and did not dare to speak. After all, Fu Pingyi is a boss, and he is the top boss in Yanjiang. His temperament can't be pondered by ordinary people. For example, now, I feel that he is a little unhappy. Fu Pingyi is obviously a very smart person who can do such a big business. Although he didn't know what was going on, he could see some content from the reactions of Wu Yuan and these people, and naturally he had his own guesses. At the same time, Wu Yuan was on his way to the emergency department. When Wu Yuan heard that there was a leader of the Provincial Medical Doctor Association, he had an idea in his heart. This time, Zhao Qin must be brought along. Zhao Qin helped Wu Yuan, and Wu Yuan should also keep it in his heart, looking for opportunities to reciprocate. And now, this opportunity has come. Why? This is related to the current system of doctors' title promotion. If you want to be promoted from a resident physician to an attending physician, the information is submitted to the Municipal Medical Association, which ultimately decides whether the doctor can become an attending physician. The chief physician with a higher level than the attending physician is determined by the Provincial Medical Doctor Association. In other words, since Fu Pingyi has found the boss of the Provincial Medical Doctor Association, Zhao Qin can communicate directly with the boss. Not to mention whether it can change the result that the chief physician cannot be promoted, at least you can get acquainted and get to know him, maybe you will be able to use this relationship next year. It was also introduced before that Wu Yuan is an old fried dough stick who has lived for 10 more years. He knows that a meal can actually change a lot of things. The opportunity cannot be lost, and it will never come again. For Zhao Qin, it is at least a chance to remedy. When Wu Yuan arrived at the emergency department, he saw that Zhao Qin was writing medical records attentively. Wu Yuan said quickly, Director Zhao, stop writing. Zhao Qin asked suspiciously, Dr. Wu, what's wrong? Wu Yuan rolled his eyes, President Tian is looking for you. Zhao Qin was stunned, looking for me? Why? Wu Yuan, anyway, there is something urgent, Director Zhao, hurry up, Director Tian is quite urgent. Zhao Qin said, oh, okay. After a while, Zhao Qin followed Wu Yuan to the dean's room and couldn't help being stunned. Zhao Qin did not expect that there would be so many people in the dean's office, and they were all bosses. Zhao Qin just wanted to ask Tian Hongchun what was going on. But Wu Yuan robbed him of the conversation. Wu Yuan said to Fu Pingyi, Mr. Fu, this is Director Zhao, the deputy director of the emergency department, and my teacher. Zhao Qin was stunned, looked at Wu Yuan, and then at Fu Pingyi, with a surprised look on his face. Of course, Zhao Qin knew someone as famous as Fu Pingyi. But why did Wu Yuan introduce Zhao Qin to Fu Pingyi? This confused Zhao Qinka. Fu Pingyi laughed when he saw Zhao Qin, and then took the initiative to reach out to shake Zhao Qin's hand. Zhao Qin also reacted quickly, and quickly reached out and held Fu Pingyi. Fu Pingyi, Director Zhao, right? Thanks to the good students you taught, I saved my life. Zhao Qin let out an, ah, glanced at Wu Yuan, and seemed to understand something. But Zhao Qin really didn't know how to respond. This. Fu Pingyi added, Director Zhao. I'm cooking at noon today, let's have dinner together. Zhao Qin hesitated for a while, still not clear about the current situation. Zhao Qin, Mr. Fu, is this bad? Fu Pingyi waved his hand, there's nothing wrong. I also made an appointment with Vice President Liu of the Provincial Medical Doctor Association. I can also introduce you to each other. It's only good for you, not bad. Zhao Qin was taken aback, Vice President Liu of the Provincial Medical Doctor Association. It's Chief Liu. Fu Pingyi replied with a smile, yes, it's President Liu Changshan. Zhao Qin looked at Wu Yuan and instantly understood Wu Yuan's intentions. Zhao Qin is not that kind of pedantic person and immediately said to Fu Pingyi, thank you, Teacher Fu. Fu Pingyi laughed and said, what are you thanking me for? I want to thank you, it was your student who saved me. Zhao Qin no longer defended, and simply accepted it. Of course, Zhao Qin would not refuse Wu Yuan's kindness. At this time, Wang Jinlu looked depressed. It was unexpected that things had come this far. The key is that Wu Yuan pulled Zhao Qin up, which was indeed a considerable blow to Wang Jinlu. Wang Jinlu's face was cold, and he felt that Wu Yuan was really difficult to deal with. Especially when Wu Yuan and Fu Pingyi had such a life-saving relationship, it was even more difficult. There is no way, only to take a step by step. These people left the dean's room and went to a nearby restaurant. As long as people in the hospital are familiar with this hotel, Tian Hongchun takes the initiative as the president. When he arrived at the hotel, Tian Hongchun asked the waiter to install a larger private room. The crowd sat down. Then, Fu Pingyi took out his mobile phone and called someone. Of course he was hitting Liu Changshan. The other party was quickly connected. Fu Pingyi, hey, President Liu, we've settled on the place, and I'll send you the address in a moment. Well, okay, it doesn't matter. Come over together. After speaking, Fu Pingyi hung up the phone. Tian Hongchun said the address here. Fu Pingyi was young and his eyesight was not very good, so he asked Zhou Qiang to help him enter the address into his mobile phone, and then send it by text message. Wu Yuan couldn't help but sigh that the mobile phone software at this time was not as developed as it would be a few years later. Otherwise, send a location information and you'll be done. After Zhou Qiang helped send the text message, he handed the phone back to Fu Pingyi. I heard the content of the conversation between Fu Pingyi and Liu Changshan just now, not only Liu Changshan came here alone, but also others. Wu Yuan and Zhao Qin sat next to each other. Zhao Qin whispered to Wu Yuan, Xiao Wu, you can do it, when is it going to happen? Of course what Zhao Qin was talking about was that Wu Yuan performed emergency surgery on Fu Pingyi. Wu Yuan, a while ago, it was a long story. I'll report back to you later. Zhao Qin nodded. Zhao Qin felt that Wu Yuan was more sensible than she thought, and Zhao Qin could still be imagined on this occasion. Zhao Qin felt that she was not as good to Wu Yuan for nothing. Regardless of whether it can be done or not, Wu Yuan knows how to repay his gratitude, and it is worth it to Zhao Qin. At this time, Wang Jinlu seemed quite uncomfortable. This morning, Wang Jinlu felt his right eye twitching.